Hello everyone. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you, mostly, and I repeat, mostly my fellow Africans. And when I say African, I mean mostly people of this color. And why I'm saying people of this color, it's because for a very long time we've been duped. Yes, and when I mean by being duped, it's by being miseducated and told things that truly doesn't resonate with the problems that we as Africans are going through or have been going through. And today's subject will touch specifically Kenya. Yeah? And I want to talk to my fellow Kenyans on a subject that the political class won't engage us in, because their biggest fear is us Kenyans knowing the truth and knowing what has always been happening. Just recently I've been talking to a few youths within where I am currently in Meru County, and also online to so many youths who are either obsessed with one-term movement, whereby they want His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, to go home. Yes. And secondly, there is the two-term movement. Those that want His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto, to remain in office. But as for me, I reserve my opinion on either one term or two term. But I'd like us to have a discussion and ask ourselves as Kenyans, is it really the one term or the two term movement that it's really our problem? Because we might succeed. I can see a very big number of youths, the elderly, and all walks of people who truly want to see that Ruto is a one-term president, which I don't oppose for reasons that are there in our Kenyan constitution that the president has violated. But on the other hand, I stand to ask the rest of the two-term movement, what if we succeed in getting Ruto out of the office? Then we bring another person, term movement. Do you think he or she will truly make a significant, impactful, systemic change to the lives of Kenyans? Sorry for that. I was just restoring the internet. Sorry. So I was on that point. Do you think, let's say for example, the one-term movement decides to give Matiang'i as the flag bearer for the presidency? I know Matiang'i for how strict he is, and he has demonstrated that through the ministries that he's worked in. Apart from some incidences where there are some cases of bodies being dumped at River Yala when he was the CS for Interior, and also the land dispute at Ruaraka. But from all Kenyans that I'm interacting with, they all are saying, if you can have a Matiang'i as a president, then we'll have a better country. So I'm like, yeah, really? Do you Kenyans know what's our problem? Do you know when the rain started beating us? And do you truly know what we want as a nation? Because we really have a very big problem. Very big. Very big. When I say very big, I mean very big. Because you will never, no president in this republic called Kenya or any other part of Africa will ever be able to impact his or her citizens for as long as he's working. And I repeat, for as long as he's working with USA, EU, that's the European Union, IMF, that's International Monetary Fund, World Bank, yes, UN, that's the United Nations, and Israel. Let me repeat. No African country will ever have a significant economic, social development for as long as your president or your government of the day is in bed with the following countries or institutions that I'll mention. Number 1, USA. Number 2, EU, European Union. Number 3, IMF, International Monetary Fund. World Bank, UN, United Nations. Why am I saying so? Those are the institutions, and I call them institutions. I won't call USA a country, no, that's an institution. I won't call Europe EU, I won't call it a continent, no, that's an institution. Those are imperialist institutions. And I repeat, those are imperialist institutions. And if I take you back to the problem that we have as Kenyans and as Africans, I take you back to the scramble and partitioning of Africa in the year 1884 and 1885, the Berlin Conference, headed by Otto Bismarck. 1884, 1885 by Otto von Bismarck. He brought the Europeans together and told them, instead of us fighting each other over resources that are very minimal in our Europe continent, why don't you go to Africa? There is vast land, arable land, massive resources to fuel our economy, and we can get them for free. You can get them for free. So they embarked on dividing Africa. So Britain had its colonies like East Africa. You had Uganda, it had Kenya, and Britain had most colonies during that time. I've mentioned the word Britain, who are our colonial master in Kenya. So they came, after that agreement they came, first as explorers. They came as explorers through our shores. And even to make matters worse, they were even naming our oceans. You can imagine someone naming the lake that's there in Nyanza, Kisumu, calling it Lake Victoria, as if it hadn't had a name before. We had the names for our rivers and our oceans and our lakes, but all that history has been rubbed. You remember the story of Vasco da Gama Pillar, somewhere in Malindi, and other explorers that came in. They went back, they told their government, you know what? Those Africans are very kind. Yes, we are kind. We Africans, we are kind. Very kind. And they'll give you anything that you want. In fact, they have vast lands. So that's the message he took over there. Then, after that, for the explorers, then came the missionaries. The missionaries came to radicalize the minds of us Kenyans. They came with a Bible on one hand and a gun on the other hand. Why? Because the missionaries, they were soldiers. They were military soldiers. But they had masqueraded as missionaries. So they were on a mission to kill our African culture, and to be specific, our Kenya culture. So if they preached to you and you didn't accept about Jesus, they killed you. So most women ended up buying that idea out of fear. Then they influenced their kids to join them in the churches out of fear. But most men who joined out of convenience, and fear also was a factor. And those who first joined, there were those now who are used as home guards or traitors against those who are fighting colonialization. So after the missionaries, then came their soldiers now. The brutal force, the colonizers now. They are not using the Bible, but they know they've created the foundation. They've managed to to demonize our culture and force us to believe in their Jesus and other things that I wouldn't like to say here, but personally, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Muslim, but I'm an African, and I'm a proud African, proud black. Don't want to go to heaven. Heaven is here, right here in Kenya. I want to just live better here in Kenya. That's why I'm doing this subject today. So when the colonizers came, they used brutal force. But we Africans, from time immemorial, we've been living with wild animals out here. Lions, hyenas, cheetahs, all dangerous animals. And we managed to survive times and to be around up to this time. So fear wasn't that part of us. So in Kenya, Mau Mau, as they were called, they regrouped. My father was one of them. In fact, my father used to be called Kahonoki. Kahonoki means survivor. He survived. Someone was grazing his cows. Then a colonial officer shot directly to where he was. Then my father also lay down there and took the blood of the guy who was being shot, and he smeared on his face and on his body, and he lay there. So the colonizer thought he had killed two birds with one stone, just a shot and two guys are down. So he didn't bother coming closer to check on them. So my dad at 13 years old, he left location 14. He found himself in Madari. That is one of the oldest slums. But he used to tell me even there, the colonizers used to come there to step on those huts and everything. He used to tell me white people are not good. They are not good. I'm yet to meet one good white man or woman, but I haven't met. They're not good people. They have a soul. They're very selfish and very greedy. So the colonizer terrorized our women, terrorized our girls, terrorized our grandmother. They came at a time when we didn't used to wear materialistic clothes like this, But we used to do our animal skins, And it's very expensive to put on an animal skin because there was never anything like inflation in that setup, because for you to put on that skin, you had to make a kill. You had to kill an antelope, or you had to kill a cheetah. There was an exchange of energy. That's who we are. We don't just like having things, man, I don't know, from heaven. No, an exchange of energy for something. So they really raped our girls, our sisters, our mothers, and white people, the Brits, they did wrong things to our women in Kenya. So bad things. And they made sure our mothers, our sisters, became widows. Because it's either they took the man, to prison, then they'll be taking you out to go and work, then they bring you back in the evening. Then the women are there, out there. No male support, So as a man, you had to make a choice to join the Mau Mau in the forest and fight for the land, or remain home and be a target of both Mau Mau and the colonizers. Because Mau Mau used to hunt the traitors, home guards, Gati. So Momo tried their best together with other, like the Nandi resistance forces and other parts of the country, There were movements everywhere, It was a combined effort, but it's predominantly Momo that are documented. But all Kenyans participated in the struggle. So as the Momo were fighting hard for Kenyans to have their lands back, because remember, before the colonizer came, we had vast lands. Just as it is now, we have vast lands, but we have squatters, So when the Mumau were told to get out of the forest, by now then president who set our country on a wrong foot, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, honestly I hate the Mzee, because he set our country on a wrong foot. And wrong foot, the problem we are in is part of it, So the Mumaus did want to come out of the forest because they were not seeing the reality, They couldn't see people owning the lands back that they used to. But they could see a flag, they could see people celebrating, Like I ask people, when you see that video of Kenyans celebrating at Kamkunji grounds on the day of independence, that's 1963, then 1964, when Kenya is becoming a republic, you're like, what are they celebrating, Were they really in the forest? What's that they're celebrating? Because it's not us, Kenyans, this race, yeah? Proud black. It's not us that we were given the independence by the British. No. It's the white settlers. Remember, it was British Imperial. So the settlers that had come here and forced us to be squatters, they were the ones that were given independence by British government. Not to be paying taxes to the British government. Name them the likes of Delamere and Dinklord Egerton and the Del Monte guy, those people who are owning the ranches and the conservancies. But as Kenyans, we were duped. Because a flag cannot represent liberation. Not even a national anthem can liberate a nation. But true economic liberation is making sure Kenyans are owning land. Because if you walk around Kenya, you see vast lands, but yet you see squatters in the same country. Dear Kenya, you can do nothing without land. They lie to you, they'll tell you, you can play a theater, you can bet, you can do Bitcoin, you can do what, but my friend, land is everything. It gives us food, it gives us home, it gives us, name it. You need schools, they are built on land.